One of the comments that's been made by a number of outside organizations is that through the process the town's working on right now, through legislation, that we would be trying to take 3,000 acres from the existing Monomoy National Wildlife Refuge. That's just simply not true. What the town is asking for through this legislation is to simply clarify the boundary as it's existed since 1944. And when we look through the historic record of Fish and Wildlife Service documents since that time period, they've consistently, the Fish and Wildlife Service have consistently referred to the refuge as 3,000 plus or minus acres. It's only been in the very recent past that there were comments and indications from Fish and Wildlife Service that they wanted to expand their jurisdiction to cover the open water and submerged lands, and that roughly equates to about 7,000 acres. But there's really no documentation that the refuge was ever 7,000 acres. It's always been roughly 3,000 acres. So we're simply asking through legislation to bring the refuge boundaries, if you will, that everybody's been accustomed to back to what they were since 1944. No, if the legislation were passed successfully, or even if there was litigation and the courts ultimately ruled at some point in the future, the protections that are afforded to the wildlife refuge and the resources surrounding it, you know, the clams, the shellfish, the birds, the marine mammals, those wouldn't change because there are already protections in existence at either the federal level, the state level, or the local level. And the town of Chatham is committed to working with all the parties involved, the state and the feds, to make sure that if there's any necessary changes to regulations to protect those resources, that they'll be adopted. We've done that in the past. We've worked with Fish and Wildlife Service regarding shellfish regulations a number of years ago, where the Fish and Wildlife Service had a concern, they met with the town, and we changed our regulations to address their concerns. So there won't be any changes in any existing regulations, and both the town and the state have committed to maintain and work with the Fish and Wildlife Service to ensure that the necessary protections remain in place going forward should either legislation or litigation be successful in reaffirming where the boundary is.